David Rockefeller is the Antichrist. Now, the Bible says you won't know when Jesus is coming back, but it doesn't say you can't figure out who the Antichrist is. And it's pretty simple that the Antichrist would be the person that's most Antichrist and the person that runs the world. Now, David Rockefeller, through his bank, runs the world. There's a consolidation of power, and there's a one world government being set up, and David Rockefeller's bank and banks have been consolidating power and running the world for quite some time now. His grandfather, John D. Rockefeller, kind of took over the world with bankrolling the Queen company, Standard Oil, and then he immediately started buying up all education systems, all printing companies, all book publishing companies, medical companies, and then merging it through the stock market and then merging it through the governments and then getting his people elected. David Rockefeller went in and out of the White House every day. He went in and out of Fox News and CNN every day. He's a writer at heart. He writes books. He owns publishing houses. And he also runs banks. And he runs the world. Now, when you get into eschatology is the study of end times, you're going to see this coded language. And you're going to hear people interpret the coded language. And it is fun. It's fun to research, and it's fun to read these verses and go, that makes no sense. And then hear people connect dots and go, wow, that kind of makes sense. And people do it, but they always get it wrong because they're always trying to tell you when Jesus is coming back. They always want to figure out when the rapture is, if it's pre-tribulation or post-tribulation. There's pre-millennial, which is Jesus comes back before the millennia, which didn't happen. There's post-millennial, which Jesus comes back after the millennia. Most of the pre-rapture people said he was coming back before the millennia or right after the millennia. The millennia started in the new 1,000-year period, started in 2001, and now we're in a new 1,000-year period. According to the calendar, the Gregorian calendar that we're under. Now, according to another calendar, it might not have started till 2019. I'm not exactly sure about that calendar yet. That's the Flat Earth calendar that we're working on. The Hebrew calendar and the Babylonian calendar say it's right around 2000. I don't know if they say it's 2001. I'm not exactly sure where they date the millennial. But there are a lot of Bible verses that do say God is coming back and Jesus is going to come back and reclaim his kingdom. And it also alludes to the Christians leaving the earth as well. But there's two sides to this. It's called eschatology, the study of the end times. The pre-rapture, before the tribulation, was a new thing that came with the Left Behind series. And that's something that wasn't taught in the church early on. So I'm going to get into all this stuff in a podcast I'm watching called the Christian Conspiracy. That's why I'm talking about this on the Daniel YouTube channel. My original show was called Living in Babylon, and I was trying to explain God's kingdom on earth. But in order to explain God's kingdom, I got to explain God. I got to explain theology. I got to explain Christianity, because a lot of people don't know it. It's pretty simple that there's a God. He's a creator God. And then we just don't recognize that God. And so in order to get us to recognize him, he sent his son, Jesus, to be the reconciliation to God. And then through Jesus, we can know who God is. That's the gist of Christianity. And then there are systems that have stolen that from us, but they do it within God's system. They take the Lord's name in vain. So the Catholic Church has been Antichrist. I like Catholicism and I like Catholics, but the Catholic Church is fallen and was fallen since Constantine. And it is an anti-Christ system. Now, it is not the teachings of Catholicism. The teachings of Catholicism that are solid. Don't get me wrong on that. Go watch my video, Christendom. I think Catholics will be like, that's very Catholic. Catholic just means general Christianity. But the Catholic Church did force people to pay to get into heaven. Heaven, before the fall, was connected to earth. That's something that we miss. It's in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That is the dream of people, to have a heavenly experience on this earth, but they don't want to pave the streets with gold. They don't want to take the treasure of this world and put it on the roads. They don't want to take our time and just freely give it to each other. They want to use the symbol, and then once you use the symbol to distribute time, you're distributing value. And what you're not supposed to do in God's kingdom is distribute value. Value comes from God, and then we just reflect God's value back to him, and we share our time with each other. Now, we don't want to get screwed over from other men, because men are fallen, and they will screw you over, and they don't want to follow the basic 10 commandments. So then we use a symbol, we use the idol to then trade with each other. And Jesus said it was fine, given to Caesar's as is Caesar's, and then he'll come and fix it and restore the kingdom on this earth. Now, there's a new kingdom being set up, and it's David Rockefeller's kingdom through the Bilderberg Group. The Bilderberg Group was created in the 1950s at the Bilderberg Hotel, where a bunch of industrialists and bankers did a secret meeting, and they're the ones that run the world, and they run it through the Federal Reserve Bank, and they try to get every country connected to the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, in conspiracies, there's the Bilderbergers, and then there's the Illuminati. The Illuminati are the bloodline from King Solomon. So Sprigmeyer wrote a book called The Bloodlines of the Illuminati, and they're the ones that have passed their genes down from King Solomon, and are the ones that think they're illuminated. Do you see shadows around them? Do you see snakes and lizards when you're around them? People said you have. I believe you do. The grandchildren of this bloodline is who is in the Illuminati. Is who is in the Bilderberg Group. Now, David Rockefeller's bank runs the world. It just does. His bank and his stock market and his consolidation of wealth controls all commerce. And they're getting ready to put microchips in you. So they're all anti-Christ. And the system they're bringing in is a beast system. A beast is just a system. It's just a government. It's just a nation. It's just an empire. So when we get into end times and end time teachings, the book of Daniel talks about it. I think it's Daniel 7. And then the book of Revelation talks about it in Revelation 13. And if you look closely, you'll see correlations from Daniel and Revelation. He's talking about Daniel's dream. They're having a similar dream. They're using similar language. Once you know the story of it, it will make place. Now, I'm going to do this in a podcast, and I'm going to teach the conspiracy side of the Bible in the podcast, and hopefully have guests on and people that are close to telling this story, so we can help roll this out in a slow, interesting way where we don't have to go verse by verse. It's not, the code that you're following is a little hard to understand, but if you understand the rational side of it, if you understand who Christ is, and then the system they're building in this world, it's just antithetical to Christ. It's just anti-Christ. It's just a system where they put a microchip in you, and then if they don't like your politics, if they don't like your spirituality, if they don't like anything about you, they don't like your race, they don't like your ethnicity, then they don't have to trade with you. And then if you say something bad on social media, the social credit score, then they don't trade with you. That's the gist of the system they're bringing in, and they're using races and ethnic groups to bring it in. They're getting people to say, you're special. They're saying you're not special. Let's all have a one world government. But they want to get rid of your genes. The microchip gets rid of it changes your genetic code. In order for their beast system to work, they need to get rid of your DNA. They need to change your DNA. That's what the GMO food is all about. It's about changing your genes. It's estrogen mimickers, and they're trying to change your biology. Now, we've been under attack from it for some time. Alexis Huxley said there will be technocracies in the future, and people will love their servitude. His book, The Brave New World, talked about this, and it also explained how they do this through drugging you, through giving you poison that gets you to give up, the fluoride and the bromine and the chlorine and all the estrogen mimickers, the bad halogens. And that's how they've pushed this system on us. They are literal beasts where they're anti-human. and they want to use the creation to create a new creation. And the only way you can do that is by using this beast system, is by using animals, by using animal genes. Because there were these Nephilim, these angels, these fallen angels that God created, and they recloned the gene. And then they're using splices of that gene and then passing that out to us. And we're going to get all into that stuff in the Christian Conspiracy podcast. It's going to be on another channel. And so look out for that next week. And we'll have guests on and talk about all this stuff. But I just wanted to make a video to really clearly state that it is David Rockefeller who is the Antichrist. His system is the most Antichrist, and he runs the world. And Warren Buffett is keeping it warm for him right now while he's not back to life yet, and then they're going to use gene editing. They might fake his resurrection. In Daniel 7, it does say the Antichrist will rise out of the four beasts. The Antichrist comes out of the four. So there was Babylon, there was Persia, there was Greece, and there was Rome. That was the empire. The British system and all the other empires, they're competing for this final empire. And they've been competing for it for 1,000 years. America came in, screwed them up for a couple hundred years, and brought in this like Christ system where we just trade freely with each other. Now they've come in with their stock markets, and they've come in with their fiat money to destroy the American system and then consolidate everything into one currency, one government, one order, one court system, one family, their family, one set of genes. That's what they want to do. And it's David Rockefeller's system. Now, whether they fake his resurrection or he actually rises back to life, if God raises him from the grave so he can show everybody that he's the Antichrist, he's going to come back and say, I found everlasting life. Just follow my system, get my microchip, and then force everybody to take your microchip. This microchip will give you everlasting life. That's what they're going to say. And then if you get them, you're going to have to get the microchip to get food, water, and shelter. They own all the products. They own all the wheat fields and all the corn. They do it through banking. And it takes a little bit of time to understand how they do it. But once you understand the stock market and once you understand the banking system, it's really simple. And we're going to get into that within the Christian Conspiracy. And we're going to explain the inner workings of the beast, which is the empire, and then the Antichrists that have come, the beasts that have come from the past, and how they're all culminating to one system, which is David Rockefeller's New World Order. And he is the Antichrist. It's super simple. So check out the Christian Conspiracy, and we will dive into everything eschatology and everything conspiratorial as far as the Bible goes. It'll be a lot. Dare to be a Daniel, dare to stand alone, dare to have a purpose firm, dare to make it known, standing by a purpose true, heeding God's command. Honor them, the faithful few. All hail to Daniel's band. Dare to be a Daniel. Dare to stand alone. Dare to have a purpose firm. Dare to make it known. Many mighty men are lost, daring not to stand, who for God has been a host by joining Daniel's band.